Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, April 26th, and this is Nadex Morning Analysis. My name is Todd Rich. I am with Nadex. With me, my good friend from Keep Trading Simple is Brian Caprice. Brian and I are going to talk about a couple of potential hotspots to look at in the market today. Before we get there, I do need to go through a quick housekeeping item and share this disclaimer that trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for everyone, that any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk, and that this is an educational session. Please do not construe anything Brian or I say as a buy or sell recommendation. We are doing this for your educational purposes. So it is a quiet start to the week, an eerily quiet start to the week. The Dow is slightly in the green, NASDAQ slightly in the red, S&P also just around flat. Not a lot of news to really talk about over the weekend. Really what people are going to be talking about this week is we're all waiting. Not so much that we're expecting any surprises, but the U.S. Federal Reserve makes their interest rate decision on Wednesday in the afternoon, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central. People are going to be talking about that. Not so much that anyone's expecting them to change the 0.25% interest that they currently have, but you just wait to hear how it gets phrased. Any slight turn of phrase, people are focused in on the words that might indicate some change in policy sooner or later, could certainly, and would, if they said something different, move the markets. As we learned last week, just on a relatively quiet day when the president announced that he was interested in raising the capital gains tax on people who make more than $1 million up to 40%. You have to realize the capital gains tax right now is at 20%. So it would have been 100% increase, and the markets didn't like it. And so just a turn of phrase from a politician or something said from the Federal Reserve can certainly move the markets dramatically. That's what's on store for this week. Everyone's going to be talking about that's on Wednesday. In the meantime, things that would potentially impact and markets that we want to keep an eye on. Gold is definitely impacted by interest rates and inflation. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the Dow. What's going on over there? So, Brian, you want to just kind of give us a quick rundown. I mean, there's not a ton today, but I think taking a look at those two are probably good places to focus on.
Yeah, I mean, the only news we had this morning, at least we had some German business climate, which again came in negative. We expected it to come in negative. They're having major issues with that third wave of COVID coming through. The only thing, globally right now, the only thing we have moving really is the Aussie dollar. And it's not so much dollar weakness. You can see the dollar yen, dollar Swiss are both up. Dollar CAD's down a little bit, but the CAD's had some great news. Pound dollar's flat. Euro with that German data is down a little bit, but it's really an Aussie strength story. And that goes back to, there was something earlier today that really Australia and China seem like they are now trying to work together. They were really at barbs at each other for a while. And now it seems like they are trying to, again, as the globe is starting to recover, that's a relationship that they really need to have. So them kind of fighting each other when they were locked down was fine. But to recover, they need each other because natural resources come from Australia to China. So right now, again, like you mentioned, I think gold is probably what to look at this week. It's kind of an interesting chart setup that we have right now. We were in this the upper third. Again, you can see the pink zone up top. And some of the zones that we had talked about last week are really kind of still in place / starting to break now. We had two levels. Again, that 1790 you can see is, again, we got to refine it. And we should have refined it actually probably last week. We'll put this back up top here. Put this over to here. And you guys can see here. It's the same level where the same sellers stepped in. And that's what really kind of took us off here up at this 1794. Huge drop down. And again, remember kind of the rule for these zones to be breaking, right? It typically is number 4. Well, here is touch 1, here is touch 2, here is touch 3, and then boom, 4 got cut through like it wasn't there. This one did come lower. So again, we had our 1 touch, we had our 2 touches, we had our 3 touches, and we just sliced through it right now on number 4. It is seeing a little bit of a greening, and that's expected, seeing the buyers step in over here on the left. Again, you can see it from this pattern based off of the way that the wicks are formed, as well as a large pop. And again, remember, it always comes back to grab these zones. So, what I would see right now is once the U.S. trader comes online, we have to see kind of what the dollar sentiment is for the day. If you remember last week, it was really, really weak dollar Monday, right? It was the dollar was bad, and then the rest of the week it kind of fought its way back a bit, and that's been the story. We don't know what it's going to be going into Monday. We got to see kind of what the retail traders feeling across the board. Um, but we tend to get one strong bias on Monday, and then it kind of reverses back through the rest of the week. But what do I look for right now? Again, this is in the middle. It's not obviously down here in the green section. Those are the ideal longs, but I would say watch out for the 1761 level, 1761.50-ish level. The last time I was here, you guys can see it popped and then kind of tested itself and has gotten front run as well here. It came down to 1762, so could be a potential area for long depending on what time we hit it. Um, Right now, top and bottom, I would definitely keep the 1794 on your radar. As Todd mentioned, FOMC on on Wednesday.
All right.
They're not changing the interest rate, but I do feel that they have to make some comments because all the data has been great. Powell said we're recovering faster than what we had expected. So again, we're seeing other people talk about, hey, well, listen, we'll go to 2022, but then we're going to have to reevaluate because we're recovering. So recovering nations are going faster than expected. Non-recovering nations are still having some problems.
they're going.
Again,
They're going backwards.
yeah, I mean, like I said, we saw the one news article last week where they talked about how it looks like there's going to be a 4% inflation rate. The mandate is 2, moderately higher than the mandate. I assumed, and I think everybody assumes, is 2.5. 4 is much, much higher.
4 is way
So
out of there. Yeah.
yeah, it's way, way, way higher. So we'll see. I think that's going to be a big one, but I think gold bounces back and forth for these two. If I had my choice this week, I would love for it to kind of come a little bit lower, and then I think Wednesday could be a great buying opportunity because I feel like they have to mention something about controlling inflation, and I just feel that it's going to bring the Hawks in. So, but
Yep.
those are the two I watch out for.
So yeah, we'll keep an eye. I do want to bring up the chart, and there we go. Yeah, I'm looking at this, just the different binary options. Probably a way to be taking a look at this today. And again, you're right. Barring some strange anomaly, I really wait. This is the Dow. It helps if I put gold up here, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So Brian, you're supposed to fix me when I do that.
I know. I was just gonna let you run with it. It's Monday. I figured,
That's okay. At least this time, I'm like, this doesn't look right. This is what it would look like. It helps too because it says gold right in the middle.
Yeah, it wasn't on my teleprompter.
Like, wait a minute, gold's. We're supposed to be testing a level right now. There we go. So let's just come down here. So right, we do actually. It's kind of crazy. We just did pick up.
It's profit taking
bar.
Yeah, it's all the European session shorts are taking their profit before the U.S. trader steps in. It's an easy way and a perfect time to do it. If you're that deep into profit from the open, you don't want to all of a sudden be like, "Hey, let's keep riding it down." No, you want to make sure that the U.S. trader that sees this big drop in price, make them take you out of the trade with your profit. So all the shorts are getting out right now as the U.S. trader, the retail trader steps in and says, "Oh my God, it's 4 red candles down. I got to sell." Right? They're getting in after the drop, and they're selling. Yep. And meanwhile, the guys on the other side are buying it back. They're on the other side of the trade taking the profit.
So right, well, it always takes two people to make a trade, right? So right, we're sort of in no man's land right now, but we do have these levels, up above where sellers do step in, and then way up above, and then if it does come back down here, there's some buying opportunity if it were to dip back down here again into that 1765-ish range. So keep an eye on gold. Certainly something that's going to be in play this week. Want everyone to be sort of focused on it, knowing that this is actually why we're doing for anyone who's never traded binary options, call spreads, or knockouts, or is unfamiliar with the gold or oil markets, two things that are going to be moving. A week from tomorrow is the boot camp for gold and oil, where we'll talk about binary options, we'll talk about knockouts and call spreads, and then we actually have one of my colleagues from Daily FX who's going to talk about fundamentals of those markets, and Brian is specifically going to be doing a session around event trading. When we do have, for instance, we'll be talking about this later in the week. On Wednesday is going to be an interesting day for oil, because not only do we have oil inventory on Wednesday, and you've got the Fed talking on Wednesday, and you've got OPEC meeting on Wednesday. Oil is going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on later. We'll probably cover that tomorrow, and we'll definitely talk about it Wednesday. All right, for this morning, we talked about gold. We've got some levels in here. Let's flip it over, take a quick peek maybe at the Dow. Take a look at
Yeah.
equity indices. I think that's
Yeah,
a good
that's
call.
it's an interesting situation that we have in the Dow. So this is where we're at. Last week we had that major drop down in price, and again, here's that parabolic retracement trade. Right now, it did do a little fake out and needed to come back down a second time, but this was the comments that Biden made about we're going to double, the capital gains tax on the rich who make most of their money on capital gains. Again, dropped it down, brought it right back to where we were. Now we had a level above, and we had talked last week before Biden spoke, and again, I didn't know he was going to make this comment. Right, what we had done, and again, we were looking for a break of 34,066, right? And we mentioned it hit this level a few different times. We were waiting. And again, we weren't getting long. We were waiting until it actually broke. And it didn't because Biden made his comment. It dropped and it came back up. And we had one test here late on Friday. Again, that kind of rally up. You guys can see that. And I'll make it a little bit bigger so you can see it. See how this is dark here? This is the last little bit of that level. This thing pushed all the way up until the last probably 10, 15%, which is always a good sign that we're running out of sellers inside of this area. We have taken 3 decent hits. And again, this was kind of the retrace back again, but we've hit this level a few different times. So I think the same kind of idea of what we were looking for last week, if we can get the break at the 34,066, whether it be a pullback kind of Harry Potter continuation or just a clean break, this is the last time where price is. And can we test the 34,145? And the answer is I think so. Like I said, I think that could definitely be on the radar for this week. We had a quick entry over in the overnight. I mean, there was this little bit of a pullback area, and then again, we had the gap from Friday to Sunday, the pull down. So there's already been one trade. We're kind of leveling and kind of setting ourselves up right now. But I think really the important thing to watch out for is unless we have an immediate drop or there's some type of a headline, remember, no news is good news. So, I do think that, I don't know, like I said, I think this is setting up for, if they mention something on interest rates, a fall back down again. But right now, we don't have anything, and that's 2 days away. So, there's still time
Right.
for this to run to the top side.
Yeah, right. Which when I was on the trading floor, we would call it the melt up. With nothing else around, it would just do a creep where buyers were stepping in. So again, an opportunity in here if you were looking for something like that with the binary options. There's opportunity in here if you thought this was we're going to just simply melt a little higher. No news, good news. Maybe we end up higher on the day. People certainly are liking the Dow with the rotation still going on. As recovery continues to happen, people are still looking, particularly in the United States, to move out of more of the technology stocks that really boomed during COVID and into more of the blue chips that have suffered, the value plays. So we're still seeing a little bit of that happen on days where there's nothing else going on, where everything is kind of quiet. So certainly something else to be looking at. All right, Brian. It's Monday. I know there's not a lot more. I thought, is there anything else? I'm going to flip it back over to you. Is there anything else you wanted to discuss quickly before we cut out of here?
No, I mean, this just came across the wire over here about the European Commission announces lawsuit against AstraZeneca for vaccine shortages. It just highlights the fact that it's not getting rolled out as fast. What is interesting is they actually halted giving AstraZeneca in some countries over there, so it's kind of strange that they are announcing a lawsuit when they were stopping using it. So I'm not sure how that one works, but it just goes back to the fact that we've seen, again, that COVID-19 is not gone yet. Our recovery looks good, but other places in the world are not, and it just provides trading opportunities for us.
100%.
Yep.
100%. So with that, any questions for Nadex, please email us customerservice@nadex.com. We can't help you if you don't email us. If you're having a challenge or problem, please reach out to us. We are definitely here to help. Brian is also available. You can catch him at support@keeptradingsimple.com. I do love the fact that quite a few of you do email Brian questions throughout the week. I know Brian enjoys interacting with you. He is definitely accessible. With that, really, a quiet open to a week at the moment. We've got some things coming up later in the week that'll be interesting. The Fed, OPEC meeting, oil reserves. Hey, last week we talked about natural gas. Those inventory reports come out on Thursdays. So energy definitely going to be in play. We'll keep an eye on that. So we gave you some ideas around gold. We gave you, definitely be watching what's going on at the Dow. With that, Brian and I will be back tomorrow morning. Want to wish everyone good luck in the markets. We will catch you next time. Thanks, everyone.